Hi, and welcome to another board game preview. I'm Tony, and today I was lucky enough to look at Moonrakers, a 1 to 5 player sci-fi deck building game from IB Studios. In the game, players become members of the Moonrakers, a diverse group of outlaws. Using their own custom spaceships and crew, they're hired to handle the galaxy's dirty work. Now they're in search of a leader. Ambitious members will take on contracts to prove that they're the right ones for the job. Each player begins with a deck of starting cards and a board that represents their spaceship. The starting hand includes reactors that add extra actions, thrusters that allow players to draw more cards from their draw pile, shields that will negate hazards, damage which will be used to fulfill contracts, and a miss card that only clogs up your hand. Over the course of the game, players will have opportunities to add new cards in order to customize their deck, as well as purchase ship parts that will grant special perks. Players will shuffle their starting deck and draw 5 cards into their hand. And then they'll take turns assuming the role of the mission leader. The mission leader will choose between the available contracts on the table. These contracts offer rewards such as prestige, credits, or bonus cards. They will also have different requirements in order to be successfully completed. As an example, to successfully complete this contract, players will need to play 3 reactors and 2 thrusters. When trying to complete a contract, players start with a single action. Therefore, the first card played will almost always be a reactor, which will allow 2 additional actions. From there, players will continue to play various combinations of cards until they run out of actions, useful cards, or complete the contract. Taking a contract isn't without risk though. The contract cards also indicate between 1 to 4 hazard dice that must be rolled before attempting the mission. Unless the hazards are blocked using a shield, a player will lose 1 prestige for each hazard remaining at the end of their turn. If you're planning on soloing most contracts, you're probably in for a rude awakening. A lot of contracts are too hard to be done alone, so you'll need to ally with other players in order to accomplish them. And this leads us into probably one of the most interesting and entertaining parts of the game, negotiating for allies. It's entirely possible for everyone playing to team up for a particularly difficult contract. Then they'll need to negotiate the rewards and hazard dice before moving forward. The fact that you need to work with people that are directly competing with you is really interesting and creates a fun player dynamic. Contracts aren't the only way to earn rewards, however. Each player starts the game with 2 secret objectives that, once completed, give the player extra prestige. If for some reason you don't want to tackle a contract, you can choose to stay at base. This means that you'll automatically collect 1 credit, draw 2 objective cards and choose one to add to your current objectives, discard your current hand, and draw a new one from your draw pile. No matter whether you attempt a contract or stay at base, your turn ends with the buying phase. Here you'll have the opportunity to buy new ship parts that can give you special abilities and add new cards to your hand or hire a crew. Crew cards are added to your deck just like any other cards, but they are often very powerful and are sometimes needed to complete contracts. The game ends when a player gains 10 prestige and becomes the new leader of the Moonrakers. Now let's take a look at what a turn may actually look like. The mission leader looks at his hand. He currently has 2 reactors, a thruster, and 2 shields. He then looks over the contracts available. This one requires 4 reactors and 4 thrusters. He asks if anyone is willing to tackle this contract with him. Player 2 says they'll do it, but they want 1 prestige and 3 credits for their help, and they're not willing to roll any hazard dice. Player 1 offers them prestige and 5 credits, but they would have to roll 1 of the dice. Player 2 refuses the deal, but Player 3 is interested and takes him up on it. They start by rolling their hazard dice. Player 1 rolls 1 hazard, and Player 3 rolls 2 hazards. Player 1 starts. First, he plays 1 reactor to gain 2 actions. Then he plays a thruster and draws 2 cards from his draw pile. He then plays a reactor and gains another 2 actions, and plays another thruster and draws 2 more cards. He plays a reactor, then a thruster, draws his cards, and then ends with a shield to block the hazard he rolled. Now it's Player 3's turn. They start off by playing a reactor and follow it up with a thruster, draws, and ends with a shield. While combined they completed the contract, Player 3 wasn't able to block 1 of the hazards they rolled, so they will lose 1 prestige that they gained during the mission, but will collect the credits. Player 1 was able to block his hazards, so he will gain his credits as well as the prestige, moving his ship 1 space up the prestige tracker. Player 1 then enters the buy phase. He buys Carry Powick and the MG Charge Core, which also adds an extra reactor to his deck. Next, Player 2 would become the mission leader, and they'd choose between accepting a contract or staying at base. Moonrakers comes with 1 rulebook, 1 armory board, 1 dispatch board, 5 command terminals, 5 ship markers, 40 credit tokens, 37 ship parts, 130 action cards, 20 crew cards, 23 objective cards, 40 contract cards, and 4 hazard dice. In Moonrakers, you're constantly purchasing new ship parts, hiring crew, and adding useful cards to your deck. As the game goes, you're really allowed to grow your deck into a way that you want. The player interaction keeps every turn interesting and players engaged at all times. At one moment, a player could be your best friend, and in the very next turn, you may want to sabotage their contract just so you can complete one of your hidden objectives. And I know it's a small thing, but the game actually comes with metal coins. While you may or may not find that interesting, it does show that they're committed to a quality product. If you enjoy easy-to-learn deck builders that include a lot of competitive and cooperative player interaction, then Moonrakers may be exactly what you're looking for. You'll have the opportunity to check out the game when it makes its way to Kickstarter on September 3rd. Thanks for watching. And if you like what we do here at Board Game Revolution, please remember to like, subscribe, comment. It's a great way for us to hear your feedback and constantly improve. I'm Tony, and I'll see you next time.